Hello and welcome to today's session. Thank you for joining, those of you who made it. I know some of you get here a little bit late, but you do watch the session. What I normally look for is a trade at the open, and that's why I do these sessions very much close to the open. So we have about 5 or 10 minutes of pre-market analysis. I go through what I'm expecting, and then what I hope for is generally a big impulsive move at the open. Now, if I don't see that, I try not to trade. And the reason for that is trading in the middle of nowhere, I find, is less decisive, and waiting for those proper setups actually present a lot more value compared to just trading willy-nilly. So that's why I give you a bit of a rundown on what I'm looking for in the market, but also, I guess, what will probably happen, just I guess so that you have an idea of what I'm expecting to happen regardless of the opening part of the trading session. And basically what that means is even if we don't see the volatility that we need initially, we can still get the value from these sessions as well. So, for example, if we do come down to these levels down here, so S1 and breakout short down at 24227, I might expect to see a bit of a reaction if we get down there. The market starts to turn around and we can see that the volume is indicating that there's more buyers than sellers coming into the market at that price point. So that's kind of, I guess, the gist of what I'm looking for. I don't necessarily continue to trade if there's no setup at the open. And the reason for that is I find that most of my trades often, if it doesn't happen at the open, either I don't have the patience to sort of sit around and wait. So my strategy, my actual trading strategy that I use is very much, it's kind of like a scalp. It's very much short term, in and out of the market quite quickly. I might target the gap and get 30 pips. If I can get an opportunity to hold a position, then I might do that from time to time. But ultimately, I'm really just looking for the entry during the session, during the open, and looking for the opportunity to, I guess, get in when there's an impulsive move at, like, kind of pushing towards a high or low point, which is the pivots, and then taking that opportunity and then getting out quite quickly if I can. But if the volatility isn't there, in particular around this 3-week period every year, so it's only temporary, but it's 3 weeks, it's quite annoying. It's almost a whole month of trading where the open of the DAX is a bit limited. Even at the London session, it's still a bit limited when it opens. Or the London session opens, I should say. So the DAX is open right now. The London session is about to come in 3 minutes' time when the FTSE opens. What I'll be looking for today is probably buys off this level if we do get down there. We'll probably tap that close gap. It's already filled because we're open, so disregard that. Look, the pivot's kind of been a bit disregarded, so, if we might sort of drift upward today. I'm not too sure, really. But as usual, using these pivot points to then identify particular levels where I have interest in the market, and then seeing if the market respects that. So other traders in the trading environment will see if they're respecting that level by entering trades. And we'll see that in the actual order flow because of the centralized exchange that the futures offers. We don't get that with CFD charts, but we can plot the levels quite easily. So I've got an MT5 tool that does that for me every day. And then I use the Tradovate order flow because it's the actual futures contracts. Quick analysis, so we've got 1 minute and a half. Look, I'd be tempted to look for buys today. If we pull back to the breakout short, obviously using a bit of insight on this. Now, so you want to see it on the order flow before you blind buy, of course. The DAX can fall very rapidly when it does. Now, on the UK, we can see here we're up on the R3. I'd be very tempted In fact, I'll be opening my platform. So I'm going to place a short position on the FTSE, simply because I will be probably targeting at the previous day's high down at 9441. Stops to break even, just in case we do go higher. So I'll just be, I guess, trying to get into a good position. So probably not really looking at the DAX today because it's just a bit sort of wishy-washy. The FTSE looks good, and in 15 seconds time we'll have a look at the open for both markets. This could just power up, but I'm hoping it will sort of respect the levels. And I'll have a look at the DAX as well at the same time. So I'll just be flicking back and forth on the CFD charts. I think this might start rallying just on the basis of, it's tapped the close gap. We've got London coming in, probably buying the market up. Ideally, if we can get down to the breakout short, that's where I might be looking to enter. If we have a big reaction off the pivot, maybe that's okay, but then we've got these lows down here. So I'm not really that interested in the DAX, but the FTSE, I'm tempted to add a bit more to that one. So I'm getting short the FTSE right now. The DAX is falling away too, so that's a positive sign. So the DAX is falling away as I guess I'd hoped. If we can get all the way down here, even better. Now the FTSE at the moment isn't respecting that pivot point kind of layout. I really would expect this market to fall soon, but perhaps I've got the markets mixed up, and that does happen from time to time. I get it wrong, and that's why you have stop losses and things like that. So, it's all about risk management at the end of the day, and I'm just here trying to, I guess, make sense of the markets and using the pivot points and the order flow. This could be one of those days where the market just simply goes up and up and up and doesn't come back. So we're kind of hovering around this price point right now, perhaps soaking up as many buyers as they can on the FTSE. I'm not really sure. Look, yeah, buy off the pivot potentially. There's a bit of an interaction there, but it's not an ultimate sort of a trade. It's a bit of a maybe have a go. I'm not super convinced, and that's why I'm not really trading that one. I would really like to see this FTSE move down to, say, at least the breakout long down here, down towards the extreme gap. It should happen, but of course the market doesn't always respect should. It respects who is placing the orders and getting market interaction. So if we can get a bit of selling to come in, that would be ideal. It seems to be coming in. I might try and add a bit more volume. Added a fair bit of volume there, probably a bit too much, to be fair. And look, the DAX seems to be sort of falling away. There's really thin volume here, and then we hit the pivot and we started to see order flow come in. We may continue falling further. I'm just watching the FTSE as well on my other charts. But look, so yeah, we're about to hit the lows on the DAX, and we'll just watch the order flow just to see if there's any indication that these lows will be respected, or even the Bollinger Band. I'll quickly have a look over the weekly and monthly. We're still very much all-time highs, essentially, very close to that area at the high end of the weekly. Daily looks like it could be turning down. We had a bit of a sort of a nothing day yesterday, so it wasn't the best trading. And then on the 4 hour, if we start to kind of stay within this range, I think we may potentially turn down there. One thing to note though is we are coming towards Christmas. So November, December, markets often just blindly rally, even if it's at all-time highs. It just goes up a lot of the time. So just be careful if you do get short on anything. It's just important to take note. If we do get down to the breakout short on the DAX, this confluence here, we will have the Bollinger Band that might create some support there to turn us back around as well, just as a note. The 4 hour is miles away, so just ignore that one. 30-minute will be well outside if we really get a good push down. 15-minute and the 5-minute. So we're close to those lows. We're getting a bit of thin volume here. I'll just zoom in on the order flow here. Okay, so we're rejecting off those lows, it seems, but I'd really like to get down here before I did anything on the German market. It seems the R3 may not hold on the FTSE. Hopefully it's getting all the buying out of its system, but I could be wrong. It might just have one of those blind buy days. I'm just going to have to get out of these positions. Looks like it's going to go up, so it's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. So that's the market. Maybe this will be a double top and we'll start to turn down. Unfortunately, I don't have futures access on the FTSE, so yeah, that's I think that's just going to go up. I'm going to get out of these trades. So that's down a couple of hundred by the looks today. Yeah, 170 bucks. I'm gonna I've gotten back in just for a little go, but it's very likely this will continue going long. At the end of the day, it's very much looking quite bullish. I don't have the futures data, so I'm just going to hope that these pivot points hold. That's for the FTSE. As for the UK, we are coming lower. We're about to hit this low, so we'll see if we reject off that. But ideally, if we can get all the way down to this S1 or breakout short, that would be the ideal situation. So just watching this market play out. It's forming a bit of a floor here. Those are probably buyer limits, essentially pushing the market higher. My ideal situation is these would actually be sell at market to push the market lower, but that may not be the case, especially because we've got these buy orders or ask side orders above that price, looking like the market's being bought on the mini DAX. So just waiting the market out at the moment. Hopefully we'll get a bit of momentum in either direction. What we don't want to happen is the market just hangs around and doesn't do anything. So it looks like buying's coming in at these lows. I'm not sure what this price point is that is getting the market to turn around. But I'd like to see it drop before I got in. So again, a bit of an uninteresting day. Hopefully next week when London and Germany are opening at the same time, it will be a little bit more interesting because there'll be all that volatility all at once. We just don't see that when the market's doing this kind of daylight savings changes. Now, interesting to note, the DAX has taken a tumble, which I expected the FTSE to do, and the UK, I guess, has had a rally, and now it's starting to, they're both kind of invert the inverse kind of reaction on each other. So I'm hoping this will follow and come down while the DAX rallies. That's what I'm hoping would happen. Of course, that may not be the case, so ultimately I would have been better off shorting the DAX and just ignoring the FTSE. But often the UK 100 is very respectful of these levels. It's just taking a little while to react. Particularly around this time of year, actually, at some point we're going to start seeing just massive rallies, I would presume. For the Christmas rally, it'll just be just blind buying coming in before that Christmas period, and the market just rallies and rallies and rallies. So just be aware of that. If you do get short on anything, you've got to be careful that you don't want to be on the wrong side of that Christmas rally. So thanks everyone for coming to join. I am currently in the UK 100 short. I've taken a bit of a hit already, so in my history it's $167 down because I shorted and then the market kind of spiked up. I didn't want to hold it in case it kept rallying. Probably should have had a bigger stop and not got into the trade so heavy, but at the moment I'm sitting at about $70 profit, so we'll see if it plays out. See if the market can kind of respect the pivot points. Not really seeing too much on the DAX. It looks like it's kind of rejecting off those lows, and the UK and the German markets are sort of inverse at the moment, which is a bit sort of, it's not unusual, but it's just a bit annoying when they don't move in the same direction, particularly when one's meant to do something and the other does it instead. I want to just check. So the ASX kind of dropped down to the S2 today and then went back up to that previous day's low and just stayed within that range. Nothing too exciting there. I'll check on the Nikkei, see what happened there. Quite a good rejection off the S2 there as well. So the market fell away. Very sort of tight stop would have been needed to be successful on the S2 there. What are we looking at? So let's say we went to the pivot. That's 800 points, or equivalent is probably more like 80 points. So yeah, quite a decent move all the way back up to that pivot and beyond. But holding it beyond that pivot is probably a little bit scary, and you wouldn't have had too much time. This is a 5-minute chart, so you would have had 5 minutes to actually exit that position at the absolute highs, which is probably somewhat unlikely. Now the last market is the US 30. I just want to have a look at this one. So yesterday, no clear sort of price point where you could have bought that I can see. I'll just zoom in one sec. 1630. So basically buying just at the open would have been a very successful day. So anybody who bought at the open, you're looking at 400-point rally plus. So let's say you went all the way to the R2, that's 310 points. So massive rallying there, which makes me think perhaps I shouldn't be in this short position on the FTSE because the markets are rallying. So I'm just going to move my stop to break even just to protect myself from any further loss. I'll just check. So for this week, what am I looking at? So for the week, I'm down $43. I'll just do last month. So the last month I made $815 on this account total. So that's including today's loss. So it's been, I guess, quite a good month on the account that I'm trading on at the moment. Now, before I sort of go back to the DAX, I just want to have a quick look at what's going on with the US 30. So we've got the yearly breakout long at 469.15, so 46,915 thereabouts. We've also got the pivot and the close. So the market closed very close to that yearly breakout long level, We've rejected twice, so it's supported off that level twice already. And I suspect that we've got triple banding either side. We've got the close. I think we'll definitely see the close at some point through the trading session. And look, these three levels, so the triple banding and that yearly breakout long, will definitely be worth a watch tonight if you're trading that US session. So, jot down those levels if you're there. And, if you're going to trade later on, it's definitely worth thinking about these levels. So these are the Camarillo pivot points. If you want to sort of figure out your own levels, I use the calculation for the dailies levels. I use that same calculation but on a yearly level, and that's where the yearly breakout long sits. And we can see, I'll just zoom out a little. I've broken the chart. We can see that the market often really respects these levels to some degree. So it's very important to just keep an eye on them, particularly when the market's running hot. It might give you a little edge, which can mean all the difference, when you're trying to make some money in the markets. So I think there'll be some really good trading on the US session, but back to the DAX, kind of hovering around this low that's been set for the day. Hopefully we will come down a little bit further throughout the session, but I'm not going to sit here and wait for that. But definitely these are the levels that I'll be watching, and then followed by interaction on the order flow as usual. Still waiting out the UK 100. It might take a little while to actually fulfill. So we'll see how we go. Stops are at break even anyway, so they're sort of way up here, hopefully above that R3 level. And I'm hoping we'll probably get down to, say, previous day's high or even the close to fill that gap. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. All the best with your trading today, and we'll be back on tomorrow.